so he's going to be monitoring everything right down to the last second, right down to release, and actually making the
Un
final
momentito, Oscar.
on when exactly the drop phase is. So he's a very busy man and monitoring a lot of data.
So we mentioned that our clock is moving a little bit based on the position of the plane, but also the pilot.
Oscar, estoy con el Jitsi.
He ultimately, like you say, he has to choose the right moment when he knows that things are safe.
No quería.
So again, even more reality of this clock is almost a suggestion for tonight. There's lots of things that are paced off of this. We work to this, but lots of important things going on. We're going to keep an eye on this camera you got on your screen. We should be seeing a fin sweep here any second.
Live streaming
just being
has
able
stopped.
to see a little bit of motion, ensuring that everything's functioning correctly mechanically for this launch. I'm going to let you listen in now and enjoy the last few minutes.
Okay, negative com. LPO, LP, always check on Victor 2.
Live streaming is on.
And LPO,
Se ve, Oscar.
LP on 133.8. PLT,
If I understand correctly, Malcolm, it sounds like we're having a challenge communicating with the plane.
Se ve cerrado.
That's what it sounds like, but they're working through the checklist and we'll see a resolution here. That's what it sounds like, how they're working through the checklist.
The Hill 11 is in the box.
copy in the box. PLT,
That's
LP,
what it sounds like, how they're working through the checklist.
The Hill 11 is in the box.
copy in the box. PLT, and launch team, we're going to
Okay, so we just heard a launch call.
Jitsi, ¿estaba bien?
Really quickly before we speak.
¿Qué pasó, Baru? ¿Qué pasó, Baru?
I know that there
El Jitsi hace rato estaba bien y ahora sí no sé por qué no me
Está
deja.
bien, está bien, dice Claudia Sanz. Ya abriste. Ahora pasame el link que ahí voy. Que ahí
Sí.
entro de la compu.
Sí,
Dame un
estoy
segundo
viendo
que
lo
entro de la
de... Estoy viendo lo de que no quiere entrar, no sé. Porque está nomás todo está en blanco. ¿Ya está?
No, estaba instalando el Linux, el otro Linux que manda mejor uno nuevo.
No, pero aquí dice
ahí
que ya
voy.
está.
Ahora entro, solo pasame el link. ¿Me pasó el link nada más?
Sí, aquí está, espérate.
Ahora instala el Google Chrome. Que tengo que instalar el Google Chrome para compartir. Igual estás compartiendo pantalla vos. ¿Ya te funciona lo de compartir pantalla?
Según yo sí, vamos a ver.
Cualquier cosa. ¿Ya me pasaste el link?
Sí.
Ah, ok, ahí entro. Dame un segundo que instalo el Google Chrome. Ok, yo corto acá y ahí voy, ¿dale? Dame un segundo, Baru. ¿No te da?
Sí. A ver. Es que según yo el Jitsi está transmitiendo, pero yo no veo nada. Sí, está transmitiendo, pero yo no veo nada. Todo se ve oscuro, ¿verdad?
Me están hablando.
Roger that.
Sí. Se ve oscuro. Estamos viendo aquí con esto.
Alpha 14 is not required, LC.
Back to you live from Hangar 80 here at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. So we just checked in with the assistant launch manager for today, and we're getting word that we are going to racetrack. So they're still working towards confirming a time to launch. So again, there's a lot of things that have to happen in approximately 30 minutes on a nominal racetrack. That's about how long it takes
Se ve
to
el
get around and
Jitsi,
back to the box.
pero el Jitsi no está transmitiendo
That's
nada.
great news. So obviously it's nice to have the capacity to be able to cycle through and do this again. So obviously it sounded like there was a comm issue. They were having issues communicating with the plane. That's critically important. And so we actually, I think we're going to go ahead and pass it back over to Jennifer in the studio and get a little bit more information from her about the science of ICON and the instruments on board. Jennifer?
Thanks, Joshua. While we wait for a launch update, let's learn a little bit more about the dynamic zone of our atmosphere that ICON will be studying.
Longing for more space, open skies, and exotic travel? Then look up, about 30 to 600 miles straight up at the ionosphere, Earth's interface to space. Nestled far above the clouds, but below outer space, this little understood destination invites you to explore its many features.
Hace ratito sí me dejó.
Experience both the weather from Earth and the weather from
Se escucha
space.
pero no se ve.
Marvel at the ballet of radial waves of navigation signals, like GPS, leaping through the particle paradise. Sit back, relax, and take in the aurora, some satellites, and the international
entiendo.
as they sail by.
¿Se entiende?
And you'll want your camera handheld.
Comparto yo pantalla, Baruch.
A ver, comparte tú.
Ya tengo instalado el Linux este. A ver si se ve. Ya se ve mi pantalla, seleccioname que ahí lo comparto. Vos cerrá el link de la NASA.
During the day,
enjoy the
stream of particles, freshly energized by the sun. As the sun sets, this particle party relaxes and the air glows thin.
Tenés que cerrar el link de la NASA, que yo lo muestro.
Ya está.
The ionosphere is in
Cerralo, se escucha un sonido.
effect of space weather. Don't miss when solar storms rain.
Ya está.
Ah, bueno, ahora se ve mi pantalla, en la mía sí se ve, ¿no?
Sí, lo tuyo sí.
Porque, mira, ahí estoy. Ahí están, acá está, va a despegar, ahí atentos. Voy a ver del chat del celular. ¿Se ve bien? ¿Se escucha bien? Muteate, Baruch, muteate.
Voy.
For another launch attempt and are waiting for a new T0. We'll provide
Ahora abro tu chat.
Provide an update shortly. NASA's Ed Chris Gersh caught up with an principal investigator Thomas Emmel to find out why it's important to study the atmosphere.
That's a good question. So the atmosphere is the densest plasma in space between us and the sun. And that plasma is systems of unit. Space in between the atmosphere. That must be really difficult or a challenge for you to kind of understand the atmosphere. That's right. So space is a big topic, and when it stirs up the atmosphere, it's hard to maybe see a source of changes in the atmosphere. But 95% of the time, space weather is pretty benign and quiet. We don't have a space hurricane every day. We do find that the conditions in the ionosphere are hard to predict anyway. We think that's probably because there's another mechanism right now. It's the low atmosphere. So we see storms coming here, and you to make better predictions, let's say for GPS, for communication systems, because sometimes those will kind of get out of whack or actually can get damaged during a strong storm. Well, there's three sort of effects. Some of the major effects, like you said, are communications, because the ionosphere can get stirred up and become very variable, and then we don't use it to bounce signals off of all the time for communications, and that can be adversely affected. Then there's geopositioning, as you noticed, so those users aren't bouncing signals off the ionosphere, they're going to penetrate the atmosphere from satellites. And those signals can become scrambled as well, and that can affect everyone from people who are trying to drive a combine with a GPS to airlines. And then the third users focused on space weather are power and utilities. So all those currents that the utilities are worried about are currents that are driven because there's current overhead in the ionosphere. So being able to predict that condition in the ionosphere is key for those power operators as well.
Now, when we're talking about the ionosphere, what kind of range are we talking about in the atmosphere?
Well, that's a good question. So in the daytime, the ionosphere is about 100 kilometers up, or 62 miles. That's where the plasma starts. And it goes all the way up to a big peak about 300 kilometers. The nighttime, the lower ionosphere sort of disappears, it recombines, the sun's not driving it anymore, but the upper ionosphere just sits there. And that's what you use to bounce signals off of at nighttime.
And so it's easier to communicate at night
That's right.
than it is during the daytime.
If you've listened to shortwave radio, you can get radio Moscow or radio Tehran in the middle of the night. You can't get that in the
You
daytime.
get it at the same time. Now, Tom, as the principal investigator of this mission, what is your ultimate question that you want to answer?
What I want to understand is why the ionosphere is completely different one day to the next. And we've tried to model it. We don't have the measurements. You have to guess. And then maybe you're right or maybe you're wrong. Why is it doing that? So we've never had the data in the daytime and the complement of instruments at the same place at the same time to even approach that question.
Thanks to our NASA Edge friends for joining us. Now we're going to check back in with the Mission Director Center for an update. Joshua, Malcolm?
Ahí está la sala de control.
Sorry, we are recycling through the racetrack, so we're moving towards another launch attempt.
No sé si
We're getting word that that should be at approximately 10 p.m. Eastern time. So we're hearing a lot of great chatter among the teams. You mentioned those 4 teams earlier this evening, working together really well to be able to get back to the point when we can give this another shot tonight.
That's right, Josh. We've got a large number of checklists we need to work through among all 4 teams, and they're just demonstrating their ability to adapt to a new set of circumstances and work to check this and get us back into launch posture.
That's right. We want to give you a chance to see a little bit more about the Pegasus and some of the people involved in that. So our NASA's Daryl Nail caught up with Phil Joyce with Northrop Grumman to talk more about the Pegasus. Take a look.
Thank you, and hi everyone. We're here at the skid strip at the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida, and I'm joined by Phil Joyce, Vice President of Space Launch with Northrop Grumman. Behind us is the Stargazer and the Icon spacecraft. It's an exciting time to be here. It is launch day, 2 years in the making. How are you feeling personally about that?
Well, there's really no day like launch day. Everybody is just jazzed for this mission. It's been 2 years of hard work. And a lot of trials to get to this point. The team couldn't be more excited and more confident that we're going to have a good mission today.
Let's talk a little bit about the trials. There were some problems that were encountered that you had to overcome during that time. Talk about them and how you fixed it.
Yeah, well, on some previous launch attempts, we observed some anomalous readings in one of our position feedback sensors on the rudder. The rudder is on the top of the vehicle and is what steers the Pegasus during its first stage of flight. They were concerning enough to us and to NASA that we stood down and we did a very long and detailed investigation on the cause of those, determined what that cause was, made corrective actions, implemented those, and that got us to where we are today, ready to launch.
And where we are, standing right in front of the spacecraft and the plane as well. And you can hear our audience, probably the hum of those generators in the background. They're playing a key role ever since they got here and all the way up until launch day. It helps protect the spacecraft. How does it do that?
Well, what you're looking at back there is our launch pad. The L-1011 is a flying launch pad as well as the first stage of our rocket. And those generators are required to operate those L-1011 systems like any normal commercial aircraft, but also to protect the spacecraft environment inside of the Pegasus fairing. This particular spacecraft, the Icon spacecraft, is very sensitive to contamination. And the systems that you hear in the background are providing a clean source of temperature-controlled air to that spacecraft so that we can ensure we have a great mission.
And I hear it's 65 degrees. I'd like some of that controlled air on me right
now. It's a warm out air.
It's a warm October day here in Florida. What are you looking most forward to, and where will you watch the launch?
Well, of course, we're always looking for a successful launch and a happy customer. That's what we're here for. I'll be in mission control with the rest of the Pegasus
Voy a poner el micrófono más cerca para que
doing
se
the
escuche
countdown
mejor.
and being part of all this.
Bill, thanks for joining us. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
We'll send it back to you in the studio. All right, so we still are live. You're now looking at the engine end of, or the motor end of the Pegasus rocket. So this is a camera mounted at the bottom of the L-1011. So Malcolm, I wanted to ask you, just thinking about the Pegasus, obviously we're doing a lot of work in the sky right now. What kind of things have to be done in preparation for this launch on the ground or in the sky?
Well, on the ground, starting with on the ground, we need to verify that the components of the system are responding to commands. So for a ground test, we'll move the elevons with the external power and communication capability, as well as ECS, verifying we can control the environment around the spacecraft. In the air, we will be verifying the hook release mechanism just to make sure that it's fully charged and ready to release Pegasus on command. Just as an example, and then obviously we are also coordinating comm channels and things of that nature. So all 4 teams are busy right now.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Right now, again, we mentioned that because of just the speed of the plane, whether it be headwinds or tailwinds, we're now trending towards about a 10:01 estimated time to be inside the box. Again, that box being this space over the Atlantic Ocean, 40,000 feet off the ground, 10 miles wide, 40 miles long. So we're moving towards that. We want to actually show you a little bit more about the Pegasus and this launch in particular. So we've done a number of what we call T0 videos. Essentially, this is a series we've done with Launch Services Program missions, where it kind of takes an in-depth look at missions and kind of what all is involved. So take a look at this. This is essentially part 1, because part 2 will be obviously part of the launch.
Where does Earth's atmosphere end and space begin? In a mysterious region of space, scientists call the ionosphere, a volatile place, where terrestrial weather from below meets space weather from above. It's also where our astronauts and critical space assets orbit. Without a proper understanding of this dynamic region in space, the technology and communication we rely so heavily upon could be at risk. That's why NASA is launching the Ionospheric Connection Explorer, or ICON, to give us answers.
The primary goal of the mission is to gain an understanding between the weather here in our atmosphere and in the ionosphere in space. We don't quite have a handle on what's going on up there in the ionosphere, so this will give us an opportunity to understand that.
The ICON spacecraft only weighs 364 pounds, so NASA's Launch Services Program chose Northrop Grumman's air-launched Pegasus rocket to deliver it into a 360-mile-high orbit.
We selected the Pegasus XL launch vehicle. It provided an excellent combination of mission performance and flexibility for the mission design for a spacecraft of the mass of ICON.
What's unique about the Pegasus rocket is that it is an air-launched vehicle, and that allows us to launch from anywhere in the world.
The challenge with processing Pegasus is that it's a flying solid rocket motor, solid fuel ready to burn as soon as it's ignited.
PLT is go for launch. PLT confirmed.
PLT confirms go for launch.
LT, RTO, countdown net, liftoff, first motion time.
It requires special attention. An explosion-proof processing facility at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, where the spacecraft must be mated to the rocket and sealed inside its protective fairing. It's one of the few launch systems in the world where the payload is attached to the launch vehicle before it's encapsulated. Once complete, Pegasus is free to launch from anywhere in the world.
Once we've established that we're ready, we then transport our entire launch team and hardware to another part of the world so that we can insert ourselves in the proper trajectory.
But to get there, Pegasus still needs to be strapped to the belly of the L-1011 Stargazer. Strapping 55,000 pounds of solid rocket fuel to the bottom of an airplane is tricky, but these rocket scientists and engineers are up to the task. Once ICON and Pegasus are locked and loaded, then it's up to the pilots to fly the Stargazer into its drop zone.
Engine start 2. So there you go, a little bit of the behind the scenes on this mission in particular with the Pegasus and ICON.
Este es el mapa,
obviously, the next chapter in that
bajo un
story is
poco volumen.
here
Este
tonight.
es el mapa de donde está, donde dice current location, es donde está el avión volando, está por arriba del océano.
Had communication issues, and so we called an abort call, and so they essentially they run this racetrack. So they literally just kind of circled around, more of an oval, but definitely.
Acá está el avión, acá está el cohete, este es el cohete, Claudia Sam, mira, este redondel blanco, algo así, este es el misil del cohete atrás y está, creo que está volando, sí está volando el avión por el océano y eso lo tiene que lanzar, ¿lo ves?
52,000 pounds of solid rocket propellant. And
Eso lo tiene que lanzar y va a ir al espacio.
44th launch. We're excited, ready to rock and roll.
And Malcolm, can you talk a little bit more about your personal experience? You actually
Este
worked,
es el cohete, ves que dice Pegasus
on
Fax,
some of the
el
Pegasus
cohete es
missions,
este.
correct?
That's correct. Directly on.
Eso es el avión, la parte de abajo del avión,
and
porque lo
various
llevan
other
la parte de
Pegasus
abajo.
missions over the years.
Ahí lo ves.
Very cool. So
Bueno.
we're hearing lots of good chatter. There's
Ese es el
essentially
cohete.
after the point when they were able to reset the clock. It looks like we are targeting right around 10 o'clock or so for our expected time to be inside that box to drop. So they're cycling through
Está
all of the
volando
same
sobre el
processes they did
océano y es de
before. Again,
noche.
it's a choreographed effort. It's something that everybody kind of knows, and literally they called out turn to this page. So everybody's on literally the same page, proceeding through the launch countdown. And so we're going to come back up here in about 30 seconds
Lo van a
on
disparar,
Omar
el
Baez,
cohete, lo van a lanzar
NASA poll. So
en unos
NASA launch
minutos.
manager Omar Baez, he's going to pull his team. We heard some good chatter from his team talking about making
A
sure
ver,
their
en cuanto
batteries
lo
are in good shape,
lanzan, yo les
everything's
digo a
in
ver
good
qué
order. So
dice.
let's listen in just a second, and we'll hear Omar's poll of his team.
And RCO, if we can get a reset of the clock at the L-7 minute call from the DLT.
RCO here, copy.
And this is DNLM with our Delta final launch readiness poll. NASA CE.
NASA CE is go.
SMA.
SMA is go.
SMD.
SMD is go.
NASA Mission Manager.
NASA Mission Manager go.
LSP.
LSP is go.
Copy. NASA team's ready.
All right, there we go. Malcolm,
Ahí lo
so
van a
on your screen, you're
lanzar.
seeing one of our control rooms here in this building. There are a number of these rooms like this with folks very diligently watching their screens.
Ahí
looking
lo
at
van a
data.
lanzar.
How many people, roughly, Malcolm, do you think are really involved for hands-on tonight?
Hands-on in this building, probably on the order of 60 to 80 people.
Dijeron go.
Everyone watching different systems and different areas of responsibility.
And there you go on your screen now. You see that's the tail end of the Pegasus rocket. This is a camera mounted to the bottom of the L-1011 Stargazer. So we will, once we do drop this rocket, essentially you'll just see that rocket kind of vanish from the view as it's released to fall downward for the ignition. So we are still tracking towards right about 10 p.m. Eastern time for our drop. Continue to hear lots of good chatter, a lot going on. Can you talk about the range a little bit, Malcolm? We talk about the range a lot because it's a big part of making sure we're good for a launch, but what's their role and how are they involved today?
So range safety is primarily responsible for public safety. They're constantly monitoring the position of Stargazer and Pegasus. And after drop, the range will be monitoring Pegasus to make sure it remains in a nominal launch path. And if it deviates, then they're prepared to take action to protect the public.
Yeah, that's so important to remember that they're really focused on public safety. And so obviously, like, we want our spacecraft to be in good shape. We want our rockets to be in good shape, but people are the priority. And we see that top to bottom all day, which is great. As we mentioned, we're working through all those countdown procedures. So we should hear Adam Lewis, launch conductor for Northrop Grumman, chime in here in just a second again to make sure he's polling all of the teams to make sure that we're good to go for a drop attempt number 2 tonight. Let's listen in.
5. Launch team at this time on a poll for final launch countdown. Rock.
This is Rock, clear to launch.
Peg.
Peg is go.
NGLD.
NGLD is go.
NLM.
NLM's go.
Launch team is going to proceed with final countdown at L-4.
All right, so once again, there you see on screen our control room. That's actually the folks sitting behind us. Always happy to be hosted here in this space. Malcolm, I wanted to see actually if you could speak to the rocket a little bit, because it's nighttime. You don't get a great chance to see this rocket and all that's involved there. But we have this expanded view of the Pegasus. I want to show you this on your left-hand side there. Can you tell us about some of the elements of this rocket?
Well, right off the bat, you'll see we have 3 stages, all solid fuel. And the most interesting piece is the first stage with the composite wing and the 3 fins, 2 elevons, and 1 rudder. And these are used somewhat uniquely in the industry right now to steer the vehicle during first stage burn. We'll separate as the end of stage 1 burn, ignite second stage, and release the fairing burn for approximately another minute. Separate stage 2 from stage 3 and ignite stage 3.
So again, we're continuing to proceed through the countdown, hearing lots of good chatter, calls for moves to internal power, ensuring all the systems are communicating well. There again on screen, you see the back end of the Pegasus rocket, still targeting right around 10 o'clock for our expected drop time. I want to put up the racetrack again, just to again kind of show you where this plane is, flying very intentionally out there around the Atlantic Ocean. You can see the drop point is roughly 50 miles off the coast here. So there's two circles where you see PTRN. The smaller one is moving through the larger one. That smaller one indicates that's the plane's location. So we're getting very close to that drop off. Again, 30,000 feet off the ground, 10 miles wide, 40 miles long. And so proceeding towards that, we're going to be hearing these same calls again and again, which is great. Like these are all really important parts of the equation here. You've gotten to sit on console before, correct, Malcolm? That's correct. Can you talk about kind of the experience? Like, what's that like? Especially in a situation like this where you're recycling and there's a lot going on fast. What's that feel like?
Well, it feels tense. You're watching your data. You're in an off-nominal situation already because you've aborted. But you're watching your system and reporting out. You're listening for the calming voice of the chief engineer or the launch conductor, and making sure that you're prepared to report out your subsystem status. So once you're in that situation, you really focus on all the practice sessions that you've had and making sure that you're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, obviously, our job there's definitely pressure here, but certainly it's different when you're back there because you're the ones making sure that this rocket's going to be safe and the spacecraft is going to get where it needs to be.
Absolutely.
There's people that have invested years of their lives, if not entire careers, on these science missions. So we're proud to be a part of this process. As we near our dropping point again, can you recap again for us the role of the pilot tonight?
So the role of the pilot is he's watching and flying his plane first of all, and he's also transporting Pegasus to the drop box, and will be responsible for final decision to release the vehicle and begin the powered flight for segment of our night tonight.
Sure. Let's see if we can toss up the tail end of that rocket again. I'm hoping that we might be able to catch. They do a fin sweep to make sure that mechanically things are working well. This is about the last time through the track that we lost communication. So definitely very anxious moments here. Again, this final minute or so, still targeting about at 10 o'clock. I'm gonna let you listen in and just kind of enjoy what's happening around us.
LC Peg, go for fin pin retract.
LPO, go for fin pin retract and fin sweep.
Está por despegar.
LC, senior medical countdown to L1011 is in the box.
Ahí va a despegar.
Oscar, pon el chat al lado,
No importa el chat, para que se vea tu pantalla completa, no importa el chat.
LC is go for launch.
No, pero pon el chat para que se vea, para que quede registrado.
No importa el chat.
Stand by.
Bueno, está bien, lo pongo. Pero tengo que achicar la ventana para eso.
And drop on my mark.
No es necesario, puedes poner pantalla completa y después el chat.
Sí,
3, 2, 1, drop.
Pegasus away. Vehicle is fully armed. Stage 1 ignition has been confirmed.
Launching Icon to explore and unlock the mysteries of the weather where Earth meets space.
Through transonic, power buses remain strong.
¿Dónde está el cohete? Ahí va.
Stage 1 fin actuator system is operating nominally and controlling the aerodynamic flight of the vehicle. Coming up on 30 seconds into the Icon mission.
Va a velocidad más.
Vehicle has passed through max Q. Attitude remains nominal. All power buses nominal. All vehicle subsystems are operating as expected.
Velocidad 3.000 millas por hora.
Stage 1 burning, 20 seconds.
Ya despegó, no lo...
Sí.
Ahí va, ahí
Burned
se
out,
ve.
attitude,
Ahí
and
se
flow
ve.
path are nominal.
Ahí se ve.
Approximately 10 seconds until stage 1 separation. Stage 1 separation. Stage 2 ignition attitude is nominal. Stage 2 DPU operating as expected, control flight of the vehicle. Approximately 20 seconds until fairing jettison.
Ahí lo ven, ese es... Es que va a una velocidad antes.
Fairing deployment. Both halves. Vehicle attitude remains nominal after fairing separation. Power buses remain strong with excellent margin. Stage 2 motor burnout remains nominal. At this point in the mission, the vehicle enters a long ballistic coast phase as it gains altitude, waiting for the proper time to ignite the stage 3 motor. Good telemetry with S-band on stage 3.
Ahora va a encender otro motor, creo.
We've got report from GNC that vehicle performance to this point is excellent. The vehicle flight computer is currently recalculating the proper time for stage 3.
Eso lo deben estar viendo con un larga vista o telescopio.
All right, so there we go. What you're seeing right now is actually an infrared camera that's based here at the Kennedy Space Center, and it's been able to track that. We didn't show you this earlier because there were clouds in the way. So as the rocket flew up above the clouds, we were able to get a picture of it. So we could even see the payload fairing separating and come off. So it's a really, really pretty night out. It's nice and beautiful, hearing lots of nominal calls, which is what we want to hear. I want to talk a little bit about because I guess we'll wrap up its journey soon. I'm really doing this part of the show. So a few things about the size of a home refrigerator. It's deployed to about 27 degree inclination, 360 miles altitude. That's a little bit higher than station as far as altitude, and the inclination is especially noteworthy because a lot of these kinds of night missions will have polar orbits move from north to south. It's going to fly much more accurately. And it's going to travel 4 miles a second when it reaches its orbit. And that's one orbit every second. So roughly 16 minutes every day. That's the same speed just about flying from Los Angeles to New York in about 12 minutes. So this thing is moving very quickly. I'm very excited for that. Continuing to hear those calls for nominal action, which is what we want to hear. I want to go ahead and actually toss this to an overview of the ICON mission in general. So go ahead and take a look now about this, some more about the science of ICON.
Up past the clouds, past the stratosphere, even farther, some 60 to 600 miles above Earth, our atmosphere gives way to space. This region, the ionosphere, is home to the aurora. It is also increasingly a key part of the human domain. It houses not only astronauts, but radio signals, planes and ships, and many satellites. And yet, the atmosphere is not well understood. To explore this area of near-Earth space, NASA and UC Berkeley built the Ionospheric Connection Explorer, or ICON. ICON's task is to help us understand just what causes the constant changes we see in the ionosphere. The more we understand, the more our assets in space. From a position close to Earth, Icon samples variation in the ionosphere over the course of hours, weeks, and seasons. The mission will investigate the ionosphere reacts to volcanic weather rising up from below, as well as space weather from above.
El clima del sol.
A key set of the mission's observations focus on the most eye-catching phenomena visible in the ionosphere: air glow, colorful bands caused by solar radiation. ICON will use specialized technology to track how this plasma is moving through the ionosphere. As ICON learns more about the relationship linking Earth's atmosphere and the space environment, the information will help improve the ability to predict conditions in the ionosphere, one more important step in protecting itself as we venture farther and farther.
Acá dice por dónde. Velocidad.
The reorientation maneuver for stage 3 ignition has been complete. The attitude of the vehicle is nominal. Stage 3 TVC is online. Stage 2 has been separated.
There you go. So really great call there. That's the route of finishing its job on the first stage, begin its path moving forward. It has a little over a minute as the third stage. They're again a great nominal. So everything is proceeding well. We continue to hear great reports. The people here, you can feel the energy.
Rating nominally.
Everyone is really excited about this mission and having it on its way to where it needs to be.
Vehicle attitude remains nominal.
Animation with some data on the right-hand side. And I'm just tracking where this thing is right now on its way to its orbit.
Vehicle is now in orbit.
Dijo que está en órbita.
We have stage 3 burnout. Attitude remains nominal. Looks to be an on-target orbit for ICON.
Awesome. I'm joined now by Allison Powers, Pegasus business manager for Northrop Grumman. How does that feel to hear that call of we're in orbit?
Wonderful.
We made it.
It's a great feeling.
It's been a long time, but it's great. Can you tell us a little bit about your role for Pegasus?
Yeah, I'm the business manager for Pegasus, which includes finance, new business opportunities, and just program control kind of roles.
Sure, that's great. So can you characterize kind of how has today's launch gone so far?
Well, one of our favorite words, as you mentioned, is using, that we use during launch is nominal. It might not sound very exciting, but in our world, it means that everything is looking good and on track. So right now, Pegasus is doing what is expected and doing good.
Perfect. So what's coming up next? What's kind of, because we're not done yet. We have a few more minutes to go here, but so what's coming up?
So what's coming up, we're in a coast phase. It lasts about 4.5 minutes. Stage 3 ignition is being computed real time by the vehicle onboard guidance system based on the flight so far. The stage 3 burn will last about 70 seconds. At burnout, the Pegasus rocket and ICON spacecraft will be traveling at excess of 15,000 miles per hour and have successfully achieved orbit. About 3 minutes later, payload separation will occur.
Awesome. So when payload separation occurs, that's the victory moment for Northrop Grumman, right?
Not necessarily. This is actually the 9th time that Pegasus has launched a Northrop Grumman built satellite. So when the Pegasus team's job is done, the ICON spacecraft team will kick in and start its mission.
So hopefully a little bit of a taking a breath to rejoice, but then obviously it's time to get back to work.
Right, yep.
Pretty cool. Again, you're seeing that animation in the long coast phase, what you're seeing in there now. So what's next? Obviously, it's been a big year for going on with Northrop Grumman and Pegasus. Obviously, this is great. So the future.
So Grumman is actively working on operations at USC for our own development. We're currently modifying the mobile launch platform, one of them, and the vertical assembly building High Bay 2. preparing for our launch at LC-39B in 2021. And cool fact, we're actually the first commercial company to utilize the historic vehicle assembly building.
Yeah, we're excited for all of our commercial partners, and Northrop Grumman definitely fits into that.
Baruch, voy a poner un explicativo de cómo son las separaciones de un cohete, porque veo que nadie entiende lo que es una separación de un cohete. ¿Puedo poner? Video explicativo, separación, cohete espacial, explicación. Atento. Porque creo que la gente no entiende. A ver, cohete, cómo funciona, explicación fácil, a ver, no. ¿Cómo son etapas cohete espacial? A ver si encuentro algún video explicativo. A ver, creo
Hola,
que...
soy Aldo.
Espera, voy a ver si lo explica. A ver. Espera. Vamos a ver si lo explica, si no pongo otro video. Explicación. ¿Cómo funciona el cohete? A ver. Había un video explicativo, pero tengo que encontrarlo. ¿Cómo orbita cohete? No encuentro explicación. Bueno, pongo el de Aldo. No encuentro cómo funciona cohete. ¿Cómo funciona el cohete? Pero uno mejor. A ver si es este. Estoy viendo. Cohete espacial. Ahí está. Ahí está, Claudia. Ahí ves que se separa. Ahora pongo el último video, el de este robot de Platón, que igual es mi amigo, me es amigo mío. Pongo este que explica bien.
Hola, soy Aldo. El lanzamiento del cohete Falcon 9 de SpaceX. ha causado más revuelo del normal en la televisión y en las redes sociales. Cuando suceden estas cosas fuera de lo común, como lo es el rastro que dejó el cohete al despegar, muchas personas tienen que relacionarlo con algo sobrenatural o conspiraciones. Siempre hay esto, que lo saben, siempre lo vemos en este canal, pero también hay personas que se hacen preguntas muy interesantes, como por ejemplo, ¿por qué sigue el cohete esa trayectoria y no va verticalmente? Tal vez algunos lo sepan, tal vez algunos no. ¿Qué les parece si lo aclaramos en este nuevo episodio de Mitos Espaciales? Mientras vuela por el cielo, un cohete pierde gran parte de su energía debido a la resistencia del aire y necesita asegurarse de que alcanza una altitud lo suficientemente alta cuando se consume la mayor parte de su combustible. Es por eso que un cohete inicialmente vuela hacia arriba muy rápido, ya que necesita cruzar la parte más gruesa de la atmósfera a la menor distancia posible. La confusión por la trayectoria de un cohete surge principalmente por la idea general que tienen algunas personas de que cuando se lanza un cohete, lo que busca ese cohete es escapar la gravedad de la Tierra y alcanzar.
Cierto. Bueno, ahora sigo con lo de la NASA. Ahí está, ya lo saqué el video. Ahora sigo con el directo. Pero era más o menos para explicar a Claudia. Sí. ¿Entendiste, Claudia? Que los cohetes se van separando y queda solo una parte. La parte de adelante, sea un cohete, también ese misil cohete hace lo mismo, porque es un cohete nada más puesto bajo un avión. Ahora sigo con la NASA. Y esta animación que muestran es porque explica eso, explica cómo se va separando. Es que no sé si este cohete lleva cámaras integradas, pero los datos del cohete, del satélite digo, están. Ahí dice los datos, a la derecha dice apogeo, etcétera, la altura que va, la inclinación. Son datos porque eso va tipo como un GPS. A ver qué pasa que no se escucha. Ahí va. Mira, es una sala de control de la NASA. Mira las computadoras de la NASA, mira las compu de la NASA.
Will be a very faint, colourful glow. That's air glow. With cameras, you can photograph it only on the darkest of nights. It's about 1/10 as bright as the combined light of all the stars. From above, it forms a luminous bubble encapsulating Earth. Appearing right at the interface to space, airglow holds clues to how our atmosphere affects weather in space, and how space weather affects humans on Earth. The bands of light span from 50 to 400 miles above Earth's surface. In the uppermost boundary of the atmosphere is the ionosphere. This is where our GPS signals and astronauts travel. What makes this region complicated is that it's constantly changing. It reacts to both energy emanating from the sun and weather near Earth's surface. And as the ionosphere fluctuates, so can conditions in near-Earth space where the space station lies. Detecting changes in the ionosphere is a lot like trying to watch the wind. You need a marker of some kind to see the invisible particles move past. And for that, we have airglow. These colorful lights reflect changes in the ionosphere, and this is due to the way it's formed. Our atmosphere consists mainly of nitrogen and oxygen, and small traces of other molecules. When these molecules reach the upper atmosphere, they're at the mercy of the sun. Ultraviolet radiation from sunlight excites them. They become energized and need to release that extra energy in some way. Atoms that remain energized long enough can emit that extra energy through light. In the lower atmosphere, we don't see as much light. The atmosphere there is dense. So when an atom becomes energized, there's a high chance it will bump into another atom and lose energy in that collision instead of emitting light. But as you travel further up, the atmosphere thins out. And like a game of dodgeball, the longer atoms stay untouched, the more time they have to emit a bright, colorful photon for us to see. That's why airglow is only seen in the upper atmosphere, but it can get even more complicated. Some collisions can cause light too. On the night side of Earth, green light is the brightest and occurs when oxygen atoms become excited through collisions with oxygen molecules. A variety of other complex reactions create red and blue light, as well as UV and infrared light that are invisible to the human eye. Each type of air glow contains information about the composition, temperature, and density of the upper atmosphere, all of which are key factors that can change dramatically and rapidly. So air glow turns out to be a fantastic proxy, illustrating not only how particles move through the ionosphere, but what kinds of particles even exist there.
Están contentos de la misión, están aplaudiendo, están aplaudiendo.
And that's a great reason for NASA to study this beautiful phenomenon.
No, son las 9:22.
Miren, es la NASA, miren, la NASA, mira Baruch, mira la NASA, dice NASA. Mira, se están abrazando, salió bien la misión, se ve, mira.
Sí, estoy viendo aquí en la NASA.
Mira esa sala de control, tienen supercomputadoras, un super internet. Son la LID misma. ¿Ves esas computadoras, Baruch? ¿Viste todo lo que tienen ahí? Mirá el logo de la NASA, está bueno.
Sí, todas esas computadoras son para checar el Facebook.
All right, I'm now here with Launch Direct NASA Launch Manager Omar Baez. Omar, congrats.
Thank you.
Does this one does this one feel special, or is this just like another great launch for the Launch Services Program?
It's another great launch for the Launch Services Program, but an awesome and great one. This one's been a long time and coming. We had some setbacks early on, middle of last year, and I'm glad that we were able to get this payload up in orbit and in a safe condition. We did confirm separation through the spacecraft TDRS link. The orbits look fantastic, and currently they're power positive, so everything looks fantastic for us. And a wonderful Pegasus launch, and like always, when your launch pad is moving at 500-600 miles an hour, things happen, and this time the first attempt got us because we lost positive communication with the aircraft on the ground, and our rule is to abort the flight, go back around and try it again. And we did this once before during the HESI mission back in 2003, and were able to execute it flawlessly today.
Does that cause any additional anxiety on the team when you kind of have to race back like that?
I don't know about anxiety. This is a fun launch. It's in my operational function. This is about as good as it gets, and we enjoy it. The anxiety level is higher, the adrenaline's flowing, but what a cool way to fly.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about Launch Services Program, obviously this is the name of the game for you guys. What's next? What's coming up?
The next mission for us is the Solar Orbiter mission, which is, or SOLO. It's a cooperative with our partners from the European Space Agency, and it's another Helio mission. So interested in looking at the sun with that one, and we hope to launch it in early February.
Awesome. Will you be the launch manager for that one?
That will be Tim Dunn.
Okay. And your next mission is?
And I will be working Mars 2020 this summer.
Which is also super high profile. Obviously, we'll get there when we get there.
Yep.
We've got Solo to go first.
Yep.
But again, a big congratulations to you, Omar, to the entire team. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you. Also, big thanks to Malcolm Boston for joining me riding shotgun as my co-commentator. So for tonight, from Hangar...
Espera, voy a mostrar una noticia. Claudia, le digo a Claudia. Claudia, ¿sabías que van a invitar al planetario un astronauta? Astronauta planetario. A ver, si no lo encuentro acá, lo encontraré. A ver, vamos a ver. Astronauta planetario. Yo vi una noticia, astronauta planetario. Bien. Astronauta planetario Palermo. Veamos a buscar la noticia. Van a invitar a un astronauta, hoy me enteré en Coso, en la televisión. Dijeron que van a invitar a un astronauta. No encuentro acá la noticia en internet, pero dicen que van a invitar a un astronauta de Estados Unidos. A ver qué se está... mientras voy a poner la Tierra en vivo, miren. O casi en vivo. Hoy hay una caminata espacial. Pero hoy no es 11. Mañana hay una caminata espacial fuera de la estación espacial. Este es un directo. Mañana hay una caminata espacial. ¿Te digo qué hora, Baru? Mañana a las 8:40 de Argentina hay una caminata espacial fuera de la estación espacial. ¿Querés que la retransmitamos mañana o cómo hacemos?
No sé si vaya a estar, pero tú escríbeme una horita antes del directo,
Si no lo retransmito.
Pues escríbeme una hora antes.
Ahora veo. Algo que me pasó.
Chale, tenemos imagen.
Me pasó esto, Héctor. Héctor, ¿puedo poner esto que me pasó, Héctor? Héctor, me pasó algo del Chanceser. Baruch.
No sé qué. ¿Te pasó eso, Héctor? A ver,
Es como un documental. Igual no tiene logo ni nada. Héctor.
Echa el ojo.
Vale, ahí lo pongo.
Esa tu clase, Crista.
Bien. Buenos días. Soy Crista McCoy, desde el interior del Challenge. Vamos a hacer un viaje de estudio. Comenzaré presentándoles a dos importantes miembros de la tripulación. Primero, el comandante Scobie, que está sentado a mi izquierda, y el segundo es Michael Smith. Ahora, el comandante Scobie les hablará de cómo se vuela el orbitador y el el piloto Smith les contará un poco acerca de Spock, nuestra computadora de a bordo.
1985, Concord, New Hampshire. La maestra de bachillerato, Krista McCauley, es elegida como la primera civil en viajar al espacio. En los meses previos al lanzamiento del transbordador espacial Challenger, esta madre de 2 hijos practica las lecciones que transmitirá en vivo desde el espacio. Ella tiene 37 años de edad.
Bien, cuando ellos terminen, yo voy a hablar acerca de los asientos y también de cómo tenemos que sentarnos para un despegue exitoso.
La tragedia del Challenger.
Baruch me dejó. Baruch, ¿cómo que no hay problema?
En vivo desde Cabo Cañaveral, en Florida, con nuestro director de noticias, Jerry Lee. Dinos qué sucede. Gracias, Glenn. En junio de 1985, Krista McCauley venció a miles de maestros para ser elegida como la primera civil en ir al espacio. Solo faltan unos minutos para el despegue de Krista, un momento muy emocionante en el Centro Espacial Kennedy, en Florida.
Sin duda, la NASA tuvo que mantener la calma en las operaciones de esta semana. Ahora vamos con Tommy Pierre. Estamos acercándonos a los últimos 3 minutos antes del lanzamiento.
Comenzaron el conteo, retiraron el hielo y el Challenger debe estar listo en muy poco tiempo. Vamos al Centro Espacial Kennedy y vamos al Challenger en la plataforma.
Los propulsores
Sí, entiendo.
¿Lo pongo o lo...?
Sí, sigue.
¿Lo pongo vos decís?
Sigue, sigue. Ponlo, sigue.
Ok.
Aquí en el Centro Kennedy se puede sentir la emoción. En menos de un minuto veremos el despegue del Challenger.
De menos 15 segundos.
Llegó el momento de que Krista McCauley haga historia.
9,
Baruch, pero hay que tener cuidado porque estos documentales a veces tienen copyright.
Ya no, es un ratito, ya es allá. ¿Qué le paramos?
Lo
Ajá.
pongo un ratito nomás. Bueno, lo pongo un ratito. Si vos decís, vos lo pongo un ratito.
O no sé, bueno, aquí le paramos, ¿no? Mejor, no hacerlo mal.
Lo paramos. Bueno, ese es. Igual busco imágenes. Es un cohete que salió y explotó luego.
Ajá, vale.
Y busco imágenes de Google. Charles cohete. Es ese que salió y explotó. Pero no solo está eso, también hay uno que se llama Columbia. Columbia NASA, ese que explotó. También que explotó cuando entró a la atmósfera de la Tierra, cuando volvió. Bueno, sigo con el... ¡Ey!
Supongo que se ha puesto más rodo con
Escúchame,
el copyright de
Claudia,
YouTube.
vayamos al chat de la NASA, Claudia. Escúchame, espera que le digo a Claudia. Vayamos al chat de la NASA, Claudia y todo lo del chat. ¡Ey! Vengan al chat de la NASA. Ahí está Baruch. Hola. También pongo. Yellow, mi friend argentino. Ahí fue Baruch. Vení, Claudio, también. Tiene modo lento. Mañana te retransmito en mi Facebook que eso perdido. Ahora, está en chat modo lento, pero bueno. Mañana nos van a leer. Lo tienen en modo lento el chat, pero eso porque hay mucha gente por ahí. No sé, ¿viste? Tiene modo lento el chat. Este es un directo que tienen programado para mañana de una caminata a la estación espacial. Marian es Marianita, hay una tal Marian ahí. ¿Es Marianita o no? Hay una Marian. Ya vengo un segundo, esperen que vea el baño, ya vengo. Volví. Estamos en el chat de la NASA. A ver mientras que dicen. ¿Qué pregunta? Ahí te hablé, Claudia, en la NASA. Buena foto esa del astronauta ahí. En la estación espacial. Mañana empieza, sí, 8:40 mañana. Mañana lo retransmito en Facebook. Ah, sí, lo vi, creo. ¿Vas a llevar ¿Quién es esa chica que está otra vez?
¿Qué? ¿Cuál?
Una chica que se escucha en tu casa.
¿Cómo?
Se escucha una mujer en tu casa.
Ah, mi madre.
Ah, tu madre. No sabía quién era.
Tengo voz delgadita.
Ah, me confundí. Olvidé, sí, esperando el momento. Ah, lo escribí acá, pensé que lo escribí en la NASA. Nada, pensaba que solo, nada. Hay que ir en cohete, Claudia.
Bueno, ahí se puede platicar un rato en el chat. Ahí si tienes algo más que conversar, Oscar.
Yo creo que voy a dormir.
Vale, vale, aprovechamos, nos despedimos. Sí, sí. Nos despedimos. Doy la despedida, Oscar. Ajá.
Sí, y me despedí la NASA. Dale, chao.
Ajá. Bobby Lincoln, Héctor, Claudia San, Marianita, Oskir, Trulov, personas que estén en las sombras, muchísimas gracias por venir a ver el directo. Sin más, les deseo muy buenas noches desde México. ¡Que viva la NASA!
Sí, vivo. Mañana vemos. Mañana retransmito el directo de la NASA ese que están en el chat ustedes. Retransmita para mi Facebook, ¿ok? No importa, lo retransmite en mi Facebook. De mi Facebook, le subo a mi canal. Bueno, vale.
Ok, vale.
Dale, chao.